Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? It's Proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another wonderful episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with Jay Dash and Big Easy. It's a beautiful day outside. Easy busted out the grass. Now we're going to bust out some draft knowledge. Cheers to the draft.
Believe it.
This year's draft is unique. Both of the first two picks have been traded. It's only the fourth time since 1967 that that's happened. All the other times that it's happened, the third pick was also traded. So if it gets traded in this draft, it wouldn't be that out of the ordinary.
Although highly doubtful. That seems ridiculous.
I don't know. The Chargers, they were talking about it
just
before.
the fact that 3 have been traded. How many times?
Oh, yeah.
4 times? 3 times?
4 times. Well, this is the fourth, so it's happened 3.
So that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. The LA Rams, not the San Diego Rams or St. Louis or whatever the hell their name was. LA Rams, number 1 pick. They're definitely taking a quarterback. It's kind of similar to last year when Tennessee and Tampa Bay had 1 and 2 and you didn't know who was going to take Mariota or Winston. Well, now we have Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. A lot of people have the Rams taking Jared Goff out of California. I don't really see a big difference in these guys. The Rams, they need a franchise quarterback. Moving to LA, you need to get that going. You need to have wins right away. They're in the big city. They added Quentin Coples, defensive end. They lost a lot of players.
On the defensive side.
Yeah, Janoris Jenkins, Chris Long, James Laurinaitis. They lost Jared Cook on the offensive side, and they also lost Nick Fairley on the defensive side of the ball, although they don't really care about him. But the Rams, like we said, they need a quarterback. They have a good running back. So they need some wide receiver help, but obviously you're not taking a wide receiver number 1 overall. You take that franchise quarterback. It's why they traded up. So I just see them taking Jared Goff.
Yeah, you do. I mean, that's why they traded up. Hopefully this is the guy they want, or whoever they choose is the guy they want for the future, obviously. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks don't work out in the end, but you're not giving this guy a lot to work with bringing him in unless you do some work later in this draft, I don't think, because this offense really doesn't look too good in terms of wide receivers, and the best receiver you had was your tight end pretty much in Jared Cook, and now he's gone. So, I don't know. They're going to have to bring in some serious pieces to put around them. We said the same thing about Tennessee last season, and they kind of tried to do that after a while. I mean, when we did the mock draft, we said Tennessee, you know, when they draft his quarterback, they got to put a lot around him still, and they went out and drafted, Dorial Green Beckham as well. So they tried to do that. We'll have to see what the Rams do.
Goff is a guy with a big arm, threw for over 3,500 yards all 3 years. It's a starter. He had 43 touchdowns last year. But like you said, he's not going to be able to do it all himself. The guy's got to get help. So if they do take him number 1 overall, they better put some weapons around him. They got a decent defense. So they could go offense in the first 3 picks.
They had a decent defense.
Well, yeah.
We'll have to see. Like you said, they lost a lot of people there on the defensive side as well. So it's going to be tough for the Rams to make a turnaround this season, moving from a different city, losing a lot on the defensive side, knowing you have to build on the offensive side. It's going to be tough.
Next team on the clock is the Eagles. They also traded up. The Eagles, this is a weird situation. They re-signed Bradford to a 2-year deal for pretty good money. They gave Chase Daniel $7 million a year as a backup from Kansas City. So why they trade up to draft a quarterback here, I'm not exactly sure. They've made it known that they are taking a quarterback. Obviously, I have them taking Wentz if Goff is already gone because those are the top 2 guys. The Eagles don't have DeMarco Murray anymore. They traded him to the Titans. They do have Ryan Matthews still in the backfield. They drafted Nelson Aguilar last year.
Sproles.
So they think,
Your boy Sproles.
They got your boy Sproles.
One of the Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
He's a
the
Hall of Famer.
smallest Hall of Famer ever.
Not to forget Jordan Matthews as well. I really like him as a wide receiver. They brought over Ruben Randall as well. And who else? Another wide receiver. I can't remember.
Chris Givens.
Chris Givens. Yes. So
Never heard of him.
Chris Givens.
I mean, he's a second
solid.
or third year guy. Yeah, he's not a number 1 or anything.
All right, we'll see.
But they beefed up their offense, so now they feel like they need a quarterback. I'm also hearing a lot that Sam Bradford's pretty pissed. He doesn't like the fact that they traded up to draft somebody. He only signed a 2-year deal, so I don't really know what he expected out of Philly. I mean, you get your 2-year deal, you get your money, dude. Why are you so upset?
And he didn't do crap last season.
To deserve the amount of money he got? No, he didn't. So I don't understand why he's so mad. He already got $11 million of the 18 for this season. So the Eagles, they went out. Howie Roseman, I believe, is their acting GM right now. He said, we want a franchise quarterback. Their owner said you win by getting a franchise quarterback. So they went out, made some moves, moved up. Completely out of ordinary for Philly. Usually they're a team that'll like to move back a few spots and try to gain extra picks. But they move up. They get the guy who played in a pro-style offense at North Dakota State. And they just hope and pray, like every team does when you make a move like this, that it works out. If it works out, this Roseman looks like a genius. He'll be heralded by the fans. If it doesn't, he's garbage and he'll be fired. I mean, that's just how it is in the NFL.
I tell you what, though, Philly, they have some work to do on the defensive side as well. They were terrible against the run last season. They were last in the league, and against the pass, they weren't good either. So they have some work to do on the defensive side. I know they brought in some people here in the offseason, but they got a long way to go.
Yeah, and they gave up a lot of picks to get to the number 2 spot. I don't remember exactly what they gave up, but it was more than what I felt like it was worth to get this type of
player. And the Cleveland Browns had this spot, correct?
Yeah.
Now, the Cleveland Browns, I like what they did in their draft last season, actually, and I like what they did this season, to tell you the truth. I mean, if they don't think their guy is one of these 2 quarterbacks, or even if he really was, how much help do you have around him? Trade back, get more and more picks, build this team up, and then maybe you get your quarterback later. Who knows? Later in his draft, maybe it's next season. I don't know. But you need more around your quarterbacks, and the Browns will never be good if they just keep going after quarterbacks and putting nothing around them.
The Browns are garbage. Next team on the docket, number 3, the San Diego Chargers. They were 4-12 last year. They had a lot of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Antonio Gates was suspended for part of the year. They lost Eric Weddle in the offseason. They lost Ladarius Green in the offseason. They lost Ricardo Matthews? Yeah, that's his name. Ricardo Matthews. It's not looking good for San Diego in the short term. I don't think they're going to be able to turn it around with just one draft. Although Denver having no quarterback now, that division is kind of up for grabs. So maybe if they can throw together a defense a little bit behind Phillip Rivers' offense, they got a shot.
Well, I tell you what, we remember early in the season that offense was one of the top in the league in passing, but then all the receivers went down.
Yeah.
Including Keenan Allen. That guy was on a tear to begin the season. He went down, and they never rebounded from that. So if they can get these guys back healthy, including Gates, I mean, after his suspension, he had a good game or two, and he kind of fell off as well. So they got to get these guys working together, and I think this offense can be good. But remember, Melvin Gordon, this is his second season. This offense can be pretty good. We'll have to see about the defense, though.
The offense had a hard time protecting Phillip Rivers last year. That was one of their biggest problems, and he's getting to be older, so you don't want him getting hit a lot. I think San Diego was the happiest team in the draft about these 2 trades ahead of them, because it was reported that Laramie Tunsil, the offensive tackle out of Mississippi, was going to go to Tennessee number 1 overall. San Diego really needs offensive line help. They really could use a tackle to help protect Phillip Rivers' blind side. Tunsil was on the top of a lot of people's draft boards as far as expected talent in the next level, projections. Everybody thought that there was not a lot of risk with this guy. He'd come in and be able to be a starter from day one. So that gets you at the top of a lot of draft boards. So now he slides down to the number 3 pick. I think out of any of these picks I'm going to give you today, this one to me is the most slam dunk. They need offensive line help. This guy really looks like he's going to be a good player at the next level. You take them. I don't think...
Money.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question, really, that they're going to take Tunsil at this spot. That'd be like asking if Easy's going to drink 2 beers or 1 beer during the segment. The answer's 3.
Money.
The Chargers did add Travis Benjamin, though. I don't know. You were saying they have some wide receiver problems?
Yeah, well, I mean, they need him to stay healthy, obviously.
We'll see. They got nice weather out there. They might get their stadium, too, I read. A little off topic, but they might get it. The Dallas Cowboys are coming in at number 4. They were 4-12 last year. They need a defensive end, a cornerback, a quarterback. Not in that order, just certain team needs that they have as of right now. They added Alfred Morris, the running back from Washington, to their team. They still have Darren McFadden. They had a couple other guys in the back. Lance Dunbar, was that the guy's name?
Yeah, he got hurt as well.
Yeah, he got hurt. So, I mean, there's
Garbage.
guarantee he's going to come back strong.
Tony Romo never stays healthy.
They lost Matt Castle as their backup, so that's not going to help him out, Tony Romo being hurt.
Believe it.
But they need to get to the quarterback. A lot of teams are looking for pass rush help, especially early in the draft. So I think the Cowboys could go with Joey Bosa, the defensive end out of Ohio State. Bosa's a great pass rusher. He has the ability to set the edge and get to the quarterback in a hurry. He has a good combination of size, speed, and strength that makes him a valuable commodity to almost any NFL defense. He's solid against the run. He seems like he's got his head on his shoulders. There's not really a lot of character issues with this guy. Ohio State's been churning out some good pro players with Urban Meyer there now. So Bosa, I mean, none of these guys are a slam dunk at all, but he really seems like he'd fit into what the Cowboys want to do down there. They would probably move him to outside linebacker because he has the speed to play out there. He'll probably play end in obvious pass situations, your nickel defense, your dime defense, where he can just put his hand on the ground, pin his ears back, and go. But for the most part, he'll probably play outside linebacker, so it'll be an adjustment for him to get used to having to cover people. But I don't think it's going to be a hard adjustment. The Cowboys have done well picking linebackers recently, at least in the last couple years. So I like the pick here, especially at number 4. He's probably the best pass rusher in the draft. To get him at number 4, not a steal, but good value.
Plus, now it looks like it won't just be Randy Gregory, but DeMarcus Lawrence may be suspended for the first 4 games of the year. So
he's beat nuts. And you know what? Their defense was in the bottom half of the league last year, and they were 25th in sacks with 31. So they got to get more pressure on the quarterback this season.
Pass rush for sure.
And you got Eli Manning in the division. You got Kirk Cousins throwing the ball well in the division. And who else is in their division?
The Steagles?
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't have a quarterback because they got Bradford. But if they draft somebody that's good, they might actually be able to pass the ball. So you got to get there. Denver proved that pressure on the quarterback can win football games for you, even when you have a noodle arm quarterback for yourself.
5th pick.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, 5-11 last season. Top pick, Dante Fowler Jr. tore his ACL, I believe it was, in training camp or a practice or something like that. It might even have been before he signed his contract, honestly. So they kind of didn't get any production out of him. It'll be nice for them this year because it'll be like having 2 top picks come in and play.
Believe it.
They still need pass rush help. They added Malik Jackson. He was in Denver. That's pretty good. They added Chris Ivory to the offense to help run the ball a little bit because they struggled to run the ball consistently last year. They took Steelers tackle Kelvin Beachum, who's supposed to compete for a starting job. And they also signed Prince Amukamara, I think is that how you say that guy's name?
Yeah.
The cornerback from the Giants. I thought the Steelers could have taken a look at him. He's a pretty good guy. He had a couple injury issues early on, so he didn't get a big contract. So it's kind of low risk because they didn't give him a lot of years, but high reward, hopefully. They did lose Chris Clemens. He was a good player for him, rushing the passer. Most of the other people they lost, I mean, they lost their punter, their center. That doesn't matter for pass rush. But I think they're going to take Miles Jack, the outside linebacker out of UCLA. He fits a need. Like I said, last year's pick, Dante Fowler Jr. got hurt. So if they get Jack in here and Fowler healthy, that's a pretty good 1-2 on the outside coming at the quarterback. Anybody who's a Steeler fan has seen that happen a lot. You know, your Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, your Joey Porter, your Clark Haggans when he was good. Players like that, you can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They have to go up against Andrew Luck. They have to go up against Brock Osweiler now in Houston. And they also have to go up against Marcus Mariota in Tennessee. So that's a lot of good quarterbacks. Mariota can move around, so not only do you have to get to him, you have to be able to chase him down. We keep saying pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. That's how it seems like you're going to win in the NFL. It's a copycat league. That's how Denver won the Super Bowl. Teams are looking for it. Jack fits that need. The number 6 pick belongs to the Baltimore Ravens. They were 5-11 last year. They had a really bad season, especially after Joe Flacco went down. They pretty much had no chance. Steve Smith got hurt, was supposed to retire. He's coming back for a year. They added Eric Weddle. They added Mike Wallace, and they added Ben Watson. So that's a lot of offensive help with Wallace and Watson. A little bit of help with Eric Weddle. I think they're going to go after Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback out of Florida State. It's crazy to me that he's sliding all the way down to number 6, but I don't see him as a fit with any of those other top teams. This guy was considered the best defensive back, maybe the best defensive player on certain teams' boards. He can play safety. He can play corner. He's fast. He's big. He's strong. He really seems like the best slam dunk guy as far as defensive backs go. If any team could get this guy, I would take him at almost any spot other than maybe number 1, 2, or 3 overall. So I think this is a steal for Baltimore here at number 6.
It would work out in their favor if he fell.
They were horrible against the pass last year.
Yeah.
Horrible.
It's still.
I mean, they ended up 10th in the league, so it wasn't that terrible necessarily.
Well, no, but they gave up big yards like throughout the game at key times. They couldn't like get that stop to get them off the 3rd and long or just off the field in general.
Yeah, they let up 25.1 points per game, so they weren't good defensively. But if you look against the run, they were pretty good. I mean, they were in the top half of the league, and against the pass, they were top half of the league. And I mean, I went into the season thinking they were a lot worse than that because the prior season they were just terrible.
They were exposed a lot, not being able to control the ball on offense also.
Without Flacco.
Yeah, their defense was kind of hung out to dry a lot of the year. But if you can add Eric Weddle and Jalen Ramsey, you're going to do good things in the pass game. I hate Baltimore, so we're moving on. Number 7, San Francisco 49ers. They had a horrible season by their standards, at least recently. 5-11 last year, fired their first-year coach. They didn't really do anything in free agency. They added Zane Beadles, Thaddeus Lewis. They lost Alex Boone. They need a lot of help, especially on the defensive side. They need a middle linebacker. They need some defensive line help. Apparently, they need quarterback help, too, because Colin Kaepernick don't want to be there. Chip Kelly doesn't seem to want him. They keep trying to trade him to Denver, but Denver can't fit his contract in. I think somehow they maybe make a draft day deal, get rid of Kaepernick, add some other picks, not a first-round pick, maybe a third-round pick.
They're terrible defensively, too.
So I think they take Paxton Lynch here, the quarterback out of Memphis. And this is my first surprise pick, I think, out of all these guys so far. Not a lot of people are going to put Lynch here with the 49ers. But Chip Kelly runs a spread offense. He did it in college with Oregon. So he wants to get that going in the pros. Sam Bradford couldn't do it. Nick Foles couldn't do it. Paxton Lynch did it in college. That's all he did. He barely even ran a huddle. This guy had to learn how to huddle. He had to learn how to get under center. So if you want to take advantage of your strengths, which you want it to be a spread offense, you draft a guy who can run it. So that, to me, is Paxton Lynch. Not saying it's going to happen, just saying that's what I think is going to happen.
Get some.
Lynch is huge. He's 6'7", 244 pounds. That's crazy to see a guy that big move around like he does. So he's the perfect fit for Chip Kelly. The number 8 pick belongs to Cleveland after moving back. They were 3-13 last year. They added RG3, but they did lose center Alex Mack and wide receiver Travis Benjamin. They've listed as needing quarterback help because people aren't sold on RG3. I think that Hugh Jackson is sold on RG3 and doesn't believe that they need quarterback help. So I think they're going to look at other things. I'm guessing they take Ezekiel Elliott. His name is a tongue twister. The running back out of Ohio State.
Easy.
Cleveland, they didn't run the ball too well last year. They didn't do a whole lot of things real well, but they got Gary Barnidge. Oh, I guess they did release Johnny Manziel if anybody cares, but he's not even a football player anymore, so screw him.
I heard he works at Jack in a Box now.
Believe it. I think they're looking to get together a set of triplets. They can have RG3, they could have Elliott, and hopefully they can get Josh Gordon back off a suspension or whatever the hell he's on, indefinite leave, or I don't know. This guy apparently failed another drug
well, I mean,
test
their best
or
receiver
whatever.
last season seemed to be Travis Benjamin, and they lost him, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they have Gary Barnidge. Cleveland's a mess. I mean, I'm not saying that they're stupid. They're the worst drafting team in the league.
I thought they did well last season, so we'll have to see. And they already made some trades to get some more picks as well. So
Oh, definitely.
I
They
kind of like what they're
stockpiled
doing.
picks.
They got a ton of
Hugh
picks.
Jackson, I believe, just thinks he can fix RG3, though. So I think that's why they decided they could move back and stockpile some other picks and move in other directions. The number 9 pick is for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6-10 last year. They added Brent Grimes through free agency. Didn't really lose anybody. Their offense was pretty good with Jameis Winston at the helm. Nothing great, but he did do well for a rookie. They had a decent running game with the Muscle Hamster and Chris Rainey, and I forget the other guy's name.
Bunk Hamster.
But the Bucs struggled on defense. They struggled against the pass. They play in a pass-happy division with Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, and Drew Brees. So I see him taking Vernon Hargraves III, the second best corner in the draft out of Florida State. This could really help them shore things up in the defensive backfield. Everybody throws the football. Everybody needs to stop the throw. And corner is very deep in this draft. So there is a shot that they see something better if somebody doesn't go, in the order that I have it here. And they can maybe address the position later. But if I'm the Buccaneers, I'm taking a shutdown corner, and I think Hargraves is that shutdown corner.
I mean, they got some pieces on the offensive side, too, and they do need help defensively. 26.1 points per game, way too much. And, I mean, they only let up 100.4 yards per game rushing, so they needed help in the passing game defensively there. So, I see where you're coming from.
Good DBs are hard to come by, and it's hard to pass up on somebody who's that good.
Yeah, but Crablegs probably would have preferred a guy from Florida State, not Florida.
Maybe. Help him get in a ruckus.
Yeah, I'm just playing games. Just playing games, ladies and gentlemen.
Just Josh.
Keeping it light. But no, I like that pick too. It's solid. That's what they need in my opinion too.
Defensive backs, man.
Straight up.
You
And
gotta
I
stop
mean, he's
Drew
obviously
Brees.
number 2 on the board.
The number 10 pick, the New York Giants, they were 6-10 last year. They added the cornerback Janoris Jenkins and defensive end Oliver Vernon, but they lost Prince Amukamara, and they also lost Ruben Randall on the offensive side. They could use defensive line help, offensive line help, cornerback help. I think DeForest Buckner, the defensive end out of Oregon, could be a good fit for them. The Giants need to get to the quarterback better. They gave up a lot of fourth quarter leads last year. That means you're allowing teams to throw the ball at will on you. One of the easier way to stop that is to get to him. Buckner's 6'7", 291 pounds. He's a mountain for an offensive lineman to handle. He gets to the quarterback a lot faster than his size would really suggest. So I think, what's his name, Jason Pierre-Paul, or what's the guy who blew his hand up?
I think that's him.
What's he really going to do with half a hand? I mean, I'm not saying he can't be a productive player, but he's not going to be that 15-sack guy that he once was. He's going to be more of like a 7 to 10 kind of guy.
Just can't grip a dude. I mean,
right.
Obvious. It was obvious last year with that weird bunk thing he was on his hand.
Oh, well, he can still get half sacks, right?
Yeah. I just think Buckner fits what they like to do. They like to put a lot of pressure with their front four, and, I mean, he does that. We've seen him win Super Bowls doing that.
Yeah, I think the Giants have one of the worst defenses in the league. At least they did last season, and I don't see too much improvement coming into the season. You said they added Janoris Jenkins. I do like that guy, so we'll have to see about him, but they have a lot of work to do here defensively, so I expect them to use a lot of their picks on the defensive side of the ball.
They lost defensive end Robert Ayers, too, so that doesn't
Prince.
help.
Rest in peace. That's Michael Jackson.
It's all right. Prince did it.
I don't think he did.
I'm pretty sure he did it. The Chicago Bears hold the 11th overall pick. They were 6-10 last year. Struggled on defense. Their offense picked it up as the year went on. I mean, I guess you could say that. Matt Forte got hurt, but they let him go. They have that Jeremy Langford. I always just called him Lanford because I used to like to watch Roseanne. But they added Danny Trevathan on the defensive side of the ball, a linebacker, to help shore things up a little bit. Other than that, I mean, Akeem Hicks, he's not the greatest guy. He's more of a rotation kind of guy. They need some offensive line help. They need to protect Jay Cutler. They need to get the ball to their wide receivers. Cutler likes to throw the ball downfield. You need time to be able to throw the ball downfield. So I could see them taking the offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley out of Notre Dame. They want to be able to run the football as well as throw the ball. Stanley gives them stability on the O-line. He can play both tackle positions. He has big, long arms. He gets a quick punch on the defender coming out of his break. He's a guy that could give them a day one starter at the 11th pick. That's something that you really look for out of a first-round pick in today's NFL. You want them to be able to start day one. Used to be able they could sit, not anymore. So this guy could really help them out. Help them control the line of scrimmage a little bit better, slow the game down so that their defense isn't exposed as much as it was last year, and that'll help them produce a little bit better.
Chicago Bears, I think they don't need to protect Jay Cutler better. They need to let people hit him so they can get a different quarterback.
Hey, now. Why? Who? We've been talking about quarterbacks a lot. Who's going to be better than Jay Cutler for the Bears right now available?
Rex Grossman?
Never.
Jay Cutler stinks, man. I mean, he has his.
Well, you go play when it's freaking 5 degrees outside and the wind's blowing 50 miles an hour. We'll see how you do.
I'm not saying I'm better than him or anything.
Blind side too.
So you think Jay Cutler's good?
I think he's.
Are they going to win?
I wouldn't want to get rid of him.
Is he going to win a Super Bowl with anybody?
Who? No, he's never going to win a Super Bowl. Never.
Okay.
Well, neither is Andrew Luck. But is Andrew Luck garbage?
I think Andrew Luck will.
Well, that's where you're dead wrong.
Luck's about to get the biggest contract in NFL history.
That's garbage. He's not fully Super Bowl winning capable, if you ask me.
Well, number 12, the New Orleans Saints, they have a Super Bowl quarterback in Drew Brees. They were 7-9 last year. They're looking to add some defensive line help, defensive ends, defensive tackles. They need linebacker help. They pretty much need somebody at every position on defense. They did add Kobe Fleener, the tight end, this year, trying to find a replacement for Jimmy Graham. They sent him to Seattle. He blew his knee out. They had Ben Watson last year. They got rid of him or just let him walk, whatever you want to call it. He did have a good year. They did add James Laurinaitis and Nick Fairley on the defensive side of the ball. Fairley was a number 1 overall pick. I believe Laurinaitis was also a number 1 overall pick for the Rams. Both guys could add some instant gratification for New Orleans on the defensive side of the ball, but I still think they go defense and take Sheldon Rankins, the defensive tackle out of Louisville. This guy is ranked as the number 1 defensive tackle on basically every team's board. He uses size. He uses his strength. He's got a high motor. He's one of those guys that never stop during the snap, pretty much goes nonstop. He can get pressure up the middle on the quarterback. He can stop the run. He's a smart player. It seems like a slam dunk pick for the New Orleans Saints as far as a fit, not necessarily saying this guy's going to be a slam dunk good player.
No, they're terrible defensively as well.
That's it. I think they should just draft all defense. If they have 10 picks, take 10 defensive players. Why not?
I don't like Kobe Fleener, though. You know that.
Yeah, you love that guy. I thought you guys were best friends.
What about you, Easy? What if I said Kobe Fleener stinks?
I don't even know. I've never heard of him.
There's your answer. The next team, the Miami Dolphins, they have the 13th pick. They were 6-10 last year. They're looking to add some defensive backs, running backs, maybe some offensive line help. They did add Mario Williams in the offseason to go along with Ndamukong Suh the year before, but they lost Oliver Vernon, Lamar Miller, Brent Grimes, Quentin Coples, and Rashard Matthews in this offseason. So that's a tough offseason to lose that many good players. I think they're going to go defense. I think they look at William Jackson III, the cornerback out of Houston. Their defensive backfield was shaky a little bit. Like I said, they lost Brent Grimes. They were 21st against the pass last year. That's not going to get it done if you want to win a championship in today's NFL. Jackson's a guy who can start day one. He's a guy that can stop the run. He's a guy that's not afraid to mix it up with big receivers. He can cover little receivers. He is I think he's the second-rated corner on most people's boards, but other people have Ramsey and Hargraves ahead of him, but I like Jackson better than Hargraves.
William Jackson III, man, I'm hearing all good things about this guy, and from what I understand, he's probably the best cornerback in this draft.
Other than Jalen Ramsey, it depends on where you rank Ramsey. I would agree with that.
Well, Ramsey, he's also a safety, correct?
Right, yeah, that's why teams don't know where they're going to use him.
Right.
I think Jackson would be a good fit for Pittsburgh. I just don't think he's going to make it there. The Oakland Raiders hold the 14th pick. They were 7-9 last year, started out good, kind of fizzled off towards the middle and late parts of the year. They have a good quarterback with Derek Carr, but they really need to shore up the defensive side of the ball because they give up way too many points. They did add Sean Smith in the offseason and Bruce Irvin, two key signings to help shore that up, but I still think they need safety help. I think they need middle linebacker help. On the offensive side of the ball, they need running back help. Not saying they need starters, just saying they need players at those positions to help.
Don't say the wrong thing here,
to fill
man.
Things. Yeah, I don't want to offend anybody. I look to see them take Shaq Lawson, the defensive end out of Clemson. He's a good fit for them. He's a guy.
Hate.
He's a guy who can get to the quarterback. Oakland struggled getting to the quarterback last year. Lawson's really quick off the snap. I mean, really quick. He might be able to play 3-4 linebacker, but he'll most likely be a 4-3 end. He's good against the run, even though he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he still holds his own against blockers. He can shed blockers. He's a smart guy. Clemson's pumping out some good players right now, and I think he's the next in this line of good players.
The fact that Oakland has the 14th pick in the draft shows improvement.
That's all we got about the Raiders, though, because if we say too much, we'll definitely offend somebody. The Tennessee Titans hold the 15th pick now instead of the first pick. They were 3-13 last year. They drafted Marcus Mariota. They did trade for DeMarco Murray in the offseason this year. They added Rashard Matthews. They added the Steeler linebacker Sean Spence. They got Matt Castle as a backup. I don't know why they added Antoine Blake. I think that makes their team worse, so I feel bad for you Tennessee fans.
Hey now.
But they lost safety Michael Griffin. They're looking at offensive line help, preferably right tackle, some cornerback help, maybe another wide receiver to throw into the mix.
I tell you what, Rashard Matthews is the real deal, though. I like that guy.
And if you put him with Dorial Green Beckham, I think that's a good pairing. If you could find somebody maybe in the 4th round to go into the slot there, or maybe have Matthews in the slot and have somebody else on the outside. But I think the Titans are going to look for offensive line help. They could take Jack Conklin, the tackle out of Michigan State. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. He's a bruiser. You want somebody to protect Mariota's blind side, and it's not Michael Orr or whatever that dude's name was.
Yep.
Jack Conklin, Michigan State. They run the ball well. They threw the ball effectively. He's a solid player. They run more of a pro-style offense than most teams do. Offensive linemen struggle when they come from a spread offense into that pro-style offense. So this is a guy who knows how to get into a three-point stance. He knows what to expect at the next level. I think he makes a good fit for Tennessee, and then they add more picks down the road to try to help put some more weapons around Mariota.
I've liked your breakdown so far. And who'd you have the Tennessee Titans taking? Can you say it again?
Jack Conklin.
Jack Conklin. I'm going to agree with you there. To move down 14 spots and still fill, a need on the team.
Exactly. They
Good
wanted
job.
Laramie Tunzel, who was the first-ranked tackle. Conklin's the second-ranked tackle. If you feel they were close enough in skill set, then why not trade down, add more picks? They got a first-round pick next year, too, so next year they're going to have 2 first-round picks.
It's a good move.
Great move by
They're trying
Tennessee.
to do the right things there. They just,
I hope it works
it's
out.
not going to – I honestly don't think it should be that hard to win that division. You only got one bunk quarterback you got to take out. That's it.
The last team we're going to talk about in this episode is the Detroit Lions. They were 7-9 last year. They hold the 16th pick. The Lions need D-line help. They need O-line help. They need safety help. They've lost a lot of good D-linemen recently. They let Ndamukong Suh walk away. They let Nick Fairley go. They did trade for Haloti Ngata, and then they did re-sign him to a 2-year deal after this year, but he's getting really old. He's on the wrong side of 30. He's a guy whose body will probably start to break down soon. So I think it makes sense for them to take Kevin Dodd, the defensive end out of Clemson. He's a big, strong guy. He's not a defensive tackle like Ngata, so he's not going to take his place, but he's going to help solidify that defensive line. They can always go get a defensive tackle in the next round. Detroit was in the middle of the pack in defense last year, so they have a pretty good offense, even with Megatron retiring. They want to get better rushing the passer. It's the easiest way to get better stopping the pass. And although this draft is deep at cornerback, there just aren't enough corners in the world for every team to have great shutdown corners. So if you can rush the passer, then your average corners become better.
You say their offense is good. We'll see, man. I don't
Well,
know.
I guess, yeah, they're supposed to be good.
I'm kind of getting tired of Stafford. I've been talking that guy up for 5 years.
Stafford, Cutler. I mean, what do you want these guys to do? You can't
win games. How about that?
Win
Win some
games.
games. 7-9. Stafford, keep at it.
I mean,
You could be the best quarterback in the world if your defense is garbage. How are you going to win every football game? I mean, it's
maybe if
two-sided.
you don't throw so many picks, it helps as well.
All right, Stafford, you're on the list.
you're on Dash's list
That's
of
it.
garbage-ass quarterbacks.
GAB.
We're going to have to do a segment
I'm
just
going to have
on
to
that.
draft Cutler and Stafford in fantasy and try to deal him the easy and see what kind of crap I can get back for him.
He
It'll
can
be
get his
nothing.
first-round pick next year.
When I start,
He won't even give me Darren Sproles for him.
But that's it. We're only doing 1 through 16 in this episode. Then we will be doing 17 through 31 in the next episode. The New England Patriots do not have a first-round pick because they're just a bunch of jagoffs and they cheat like a bunch of jagoffs. I'm not saying this is set in stone. I'm not trying to say that I'm some draft expert. I'm just saying this is who I could see these teams taking. Did a lot of research on this. So if you got a beef with it, let me know on Twitter at bet_the_spread or at betjimthewin. But be tasteful about it. You don't got to go tell me to go bleep my mom, all right? If you don't like who I decided you to pick, that doesn't mean that they're going to listen to me. If you don't want Tennessee to take Jack Conklin, that just because I said it doesn't mean it's going to happen.
No, they fought for that right. Don't explain to these people what
First Amendment, yeah.
Don't explain to these people what they can and cannot say to you.
Listen, just because you can
Fascist.
say something doesn't mean you always necessarily need to at that moment.
No, to be honest,
I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. This is just my opinion on these teams. If you don't like it, That's fine.
If you don't like it, you're gonna let it be known, and then a
you
serious
can tell me.
hashtag war on Twitter will be started.
You can tell me you think my pick's garbage, but you ain't got to say something mean about my mom, dude.
Well,
you
where's
gotta
this
attack
coming
me
from?
personally.
People,
Last year's Oakland Raider fans got really
they
mad.
attacked your mom.
I mean, I don't remember if they
Hey,
said
now.
it. They were getting personal.
It
They
was
didn't
getting
like
personal?
it. They didn't like it at all.
Oh,
so
hey now.
I'm just trying to clear the air here.
And
I'm
let
not
people-
Jim Kuiper Jr. Okay.
Yeah, and
You
he's
know?
not. We're not getting paid for this either.
Yeah. So keep it tasteful. Keep your hate tasteful. You can attack me all you want. That's fine. Leave my mom out of it.
Hateful.
Tell Jim to off.
Yeah, that's it. Go like me on Facebook. Come subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/betthespread. Come check out our next episode, 17 through 31. Let's get it done.